Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's February 15th, 2022, and what we're doing is we're going back in time when we planted the final row of garlic in the bed. So the dark soil that you see over here, I'm going to give you a little bit of a history on this whole area. You can see back in November we started getting quite a bit of rain, and so you can see it's really muddy around here. A little bit of background history. This was all decomposing ash trees and basically a very rough gravel area where new growth of poplar and ash trees predominated, and the ash trees, the emerald ash boring insect, killed just about all of the ash trees. And with the ice storms and the issues that we had, we lost so many trees up in here. So I elected to go ahead and clear this area, and by clearing it we used large excavator to come up here, dig huge trenches and bury all of the root balls, the trunks and the branches and all. This process I've labeled as hugelkultur pits, so we're capturing carbon and putting it below the soil. However, as I mentioned, this is all gravel here, so it's really not good soil whatsoever, lots of bony rock. But I was able to find a tree service that I was able to get lots of wood chips from, and I got lots of wood chips from the town, the municipal, where they've been stockpiling wood chips for years. I went and got those and took multiple loads, and I started covering the gravel area. Now again, all the woody material had been buried below the gravel, and I'm calling this a hugelkultur pit. And then we started taking wood chips and covering the area. The other thing I did do was we collected from a not too far away farm, we collected all of their manures, lots of mixed manures from different farm animals, including camels, sheep, goats, horses, chickens, pigs, you name it. So we had all of this mix of different farm waste, and we composted it using thermophilic, meaning breaking down weed seeds and breaking down pathogens. And we used that compost to build all of our garden beds, as well as these permanent raised beds in here in the third food forest. The other thing we did do, you could see these white tubes around the sides. Those are some 1 to 2 year old peach or nut trees, fruit trees. Other trees you may be able to see. Now it's fall time, so they've lost their leaves for the most part at this point. So there are many fruit and nut trees all around here. So this is the third food forest. This is the most immature of the 3 different food forests that we've created. And you can see what I did do was I made our garlic and shallots beds up in this part of the third food forest. Now in old videos you'll see we grew potatoes here, we grew all sorts of different plant materials, building up soil. And you'd see the wood chips that I'm building up over here in one of the last videos that I did when I planted the shallots and the garlic. You could see I brought a whole bunch of wood chips right up here alongside of the bed that we're going to plant today. So that's where we're at this point. So this is back on November 11th, 2021. Let's see if we can play this video. I'm going to try and play it. It's November 11th, 2021. 2 days ago I got the shallots in this bed right here in front of me. Yesterday I planted the first bed of garlic, and today I'm planning on planting this bed. I did run the tilther over the surface of this bed. My goal is each time to get down into the soil. You could see the deer have been up here last night. Get down to loosen up the first 1 3/4 to 2 inches of surface here, and it worked out well with the garlic bed that I put in yesterday. I got my Tine Weeder here, and the goal is just to go over and try and pull out some of the weeds. So I thought I'd mention a couple of things about this. So as I mentioned, I had a cover crop here planted with mixed variety of seeds in each of these 3 beds. And there's wood chips, old decomposing wood chips on either sides of each one of these beds that make up the paths that we walk on. Now, one of the challenges in these beds is there's no irrigation, and there's also weed seeds that get blown into the area. Even though we did a really good job of making sure there weren't any weed seeds in the soil that we created here, the compost, over time weed seeds have blown in, they've gotten started. So we have quack grasses, we have clover, we have bindweed, we have a whole bunch of different weeds that can really compete with the garlic and the shallots as we're growing them throughout the season. The Tine Weeder, I think this was first designed by Two Bad Cats. I can't remember for certain, but it's 2 rows of flexible wire curled sections that are quite delicate, and even after your new crop has come up, one of the things that's this Tine Weeder can go ahead and pull out those early emergent weed seeds that emerge in the springtime. So you go over your crop a couple of times early in the springtime after your plants have emerged, and as those weed seeds are just starting to emerge that come after you've got your other vegetables, they've already got a couple of inches, then you can use the Tine Weeder and it'll pull out the roots of some of those weed seeds that have germinated. So this really works pretty darn well. I like this a lot. And you see the soil is pretty decent in this area still. The cover crop, we use the garden tilther to go ahead. At first with the cover crop, we terminated the cover crop by using a flail mower. So we chopped it right down to the surface of the ground level, and then we went through and used the garden tilther, just tilling the soil about 1.75 inches to 2 inches deep, and that's what I use for the getting the garlic into the soil.
That was a Tine Weeder, and that tool works extremely well. This is my leveling rake here. So this rake has a nice back edge that helps me to smooth out the surface. This works well for stone as well, but this back edge really smooths things out. I don't think I'm going to need to do that. And now we get our row markers. So this is just PEX tubing that's put on each one of these tines sticking out on this rake. So this helps me to lay out where the rows are on this bed. And it's a reach to do four rows in this system, but I think I may go from side to side and do this. The other beds I only use 3 of the tines. Just wonder if I should have gone looks like I'm getting a load of wood chips right now. I think he's trying to figure out how to get in there without getting stuck. I think I'll go over
So
and see.
by using that rake and putting the about 5 to 6 inch lengths of PEX tubing on it, I was able to get nice spacing. I can decide what the spacing is between it. Bud here, he's delivering a load of wood chips. It's too wet for him to get it over here in the pile where we usually get it. So just wanted to make sure he wasn't getting stuck and then heading back to get the garlic in the ground. So a couple of things about planting garlic is, one is sourcing the garlic well. Now, can you go to the grocery store and pick up some organic garlic? Absolutely. I'll talk more about garlic and its benefits in an upcoming video. We're processing a lot of our powdered garlic at this time. But this is Chinook Red Garlic, and I have another hybrid type of garlic that's a cross between the Chinook Red and a German white garlic. The Chinook Red has the red or purple pigment in it, which has more organosulfurs in it, which is much more benefit. But sourcing really good organic seed garlic is very important. Now, and the reason for that is because a lot of the garlic that you can pick up in the stores is, if it comes from China, you'll see it's pretty white, blanche colored garlic, and the roots are cut very, very short. And if it was sourced from China, sometimes it's raw sewage it's grown in. There's heavy metals in it as well. So you just want to be real careful where you're sourcing your garlic from. Now, by using the PEX tubing on the rake, you could see that I'm able to maintain about several inches between each row of the garlic, and then I'm just guesstimating where the spacing between each garlic clove. The garlic cloves, I take the garlic heads and I separate the garlic cloves beforehand, the day beforehand, and then I take each garlic clove and insert it, the base of it, into the firm soil that wasn't tilthed. So the roots are just up against the base of the firm soil, and the point is pointed up. I'm going to go ahead and use some old moldy hay to mulch the top of this bed. My back is really sore at this point in the video, so it's a bit of a challenge for me to do this. I had injured my sciatic nerve earlier. You can see the rows aren't perfectly straight, but the spacing between the rows is more important. At this point, I'm doing 3 rows on the way up. So first, you really want to have excellent soil. How do we accomplish the excellent soil? Well, first we did our own composting thermophilic initially, and then we've added other green materials. In the past, I've used some alfalfa pellets to increase the fertility of the soil. So as the garlic draws some of the nutrients out of the soil, we feed the microorganisms by giving them the alfalfa pellets. The other thing I did this past season, we grew a cover crop here, and we left the roots intact, and then we used a flail mower to terminate the crop that was here, the cover crop. The mulch that we use, the hay that you can see that's covering to the side of the screen, that's going to add nutrients to the bed as well as that breaks down. It'll help to hinder some of the weed seeds from germinating. You'll see where I'm kneeling now on the sides of this bed. There's grasses and weeds and bindweed there. So I need to deal with these things in the future. If I had more cardboard, I'd be sheet mulching the area and putting more cardboard on it. So once I get up to the top of this row, I'll start coming back the other side with 2 rows of garlic coming down this path. Again, source your garlic well. You want to have good seeds. You want to have good soil. You may want to prep the first 2 inches, 1 3/4 to 2 inches of soil. We plant our garlic after the end of October and beginning of November. I'm sorry, and mid to late November. We get lots of hard freezes. We get lots of rain in the late fall, so the beds get a little bit wet. It's more difficult getting all of the grasses and all out of there, so you're dealing with more weeds. But if I plant the garlic too early, there's more of a chance of frost damage happening, especially if I don't have a good mulch cover on top of it. So, and I'm not too concerned if some of the clove, outer wraps of the clove come off. That's okay. You know, that will happen as time goes on. I'm not too selective. I don't necessarily have to have the biggest cloves there, although I try to get the biggest cloves. Same thing with when I'm planting the shallots as well. So good soil, good seed selection for your garlic, good preparation of the soil, and always refeeding the microorganisms in the soil, because it's the microorganisms that are going to break down those plant materials, and those roots that are still there present in the soil from the cover crop are going to be a food source for the microorganisms to feed the garlic or whatever crop you have in there. I'm putting some hay pads directly onto the grasses along the margins, but I'm breaking up the pads that are all moldy and all, and just sort of gently distributing it here. Garlic's really hardy. It will shoot up in between the mulch. In the past, I've used leaf mulch from going around to the town in the fall, and if you put the mulch on too thick and it's too woven, the garlic, although it will come up, it'll go lateral and it won't be able to reach the break through the mulch cover, and it'll turn yellowish white and not do as well. So those first few weeks of the shoots coming up, if you don't see them all coming up, go and move some of the area as well. So there'll be a video coming up where we're processing it. Unfortunately, I didn't show the processing this year after harvesting it, and that's the initial 24 to 48 hours of drying some of the garlic, then curing the garlic in the sheds on our wire drying pads, and then ultimately getting the garlic cured and stored. So we're going to take it in a couple of days. You'll see a video with the whole processing the garlic for long-term storage. Thanks so much for watching, and have a super fantastic day. Bye-bye now.